Everyone, it's Shay back again with another video, different than what I normally do. But I kind of always just do what I want on this channel anyway. I already shared my general thoughts on Heated Rivalry. I talked about things that I liked about the show, and I also touched on a lot of the messy online discourse that's surrounding it. Like parasocial fandom issues, podcast drama, protective fans wanting to keep the show small, and some other negative backlash. I still stand that despite some of the negativity that comes from becoming such a wildly popular show very quickly, the net impact of this show becoming as huge as it has been has overall been really positive. There have definitely still been toxic corners of discourse online that are not going away, especially people who hate LGBTQ plus representation and parasocial fans. I've recently seen a lot of discourse around hate that's being sent towards actors like Hudson Williams, which people have pointed out seems to have a lot of racist motivations. There's been debates about who gets to enjoy the show and how people should engage with it, and people trying to minimize the story into just being about two hot men having sex. But here's the thing. So much about the world feels heavy, negative, and polarizing. There's so much bad things that are happening constantly all the time, and we're so exposed to that. And I think it's important to name and bring awareness of all these things that are happening and not to let us forget about these really important things. But I think it's also really important to intentionally highlight good news, hope, and positivity. And that's really what I want to do with this video. I think when we're so bogged down on all the negative things that are happening all the time, our mental health takes a hit. We lose our motivation and ability to keep fighting. And right now, we gotta keep fighting. So I happened to stumble upon these Instagram posts by the Good Co., an account and media project that curates uplifting and hopeful stories from around the world. Stories about community action, ecological progress, scientific breakthroughs, and everyday kindness. Their work is a great example on how online spaces can counterbalance negativity with genuinely encouraging news. So today I want to spotlight the positive instead of the drama. Because sometimes when the world feels overwhelming, the most radical thing we can do is look for the good. Heated Rivalry is a global phenomenon, and it also inspired a lot of really good news. Here are 10 good headlines that wouldn't have existed without the cottage. Thanks to the show's success, Heated Rivalry author Rachel Reed was able to receive treatment for Parkinson's. Reed was diagnosed with the condition around the same time she was approached about adapting her book series for the screen, and she's since been able to receive specialist help. I had no idea that she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I don't really know that much about Rachel Reed, but in my first video, I kind of talked about how I'm just glad that the cast and crew, and now this includes Rachel Reed, are able to get their bag after Heated Rivalry was so successful. And the fact that it led to her being able to receive treatment for Parkinson's is wonderful. People can say what they want about the author, and if you enjoy the book or the show more, and whichever the answer to that is 100% valid. But the truth is, we would not have the show without Rachel Reed. Heated Rivalry library downloads soar 1,057% during Winter Storm after mention from NYC Mayor Zoran Mamdani said New Yorkers could take advantage of our public libraries offer a free access to Heated Rivalry on ebook and audiobook. The NYPL says it expects downloads to continue to climb. If we're seeing more people finding a love for reading and actually reading books, that is such a wonderful thing. I don't have the stats or anything pulled up, but I know that illiteracy is surprisingly high, even in the United States. I also think that in our capitalist society, we're seeking like profits and more profits and trying to monetize everything. The fact that we still have free public libraries where there's like free access to books, free access to all sorts of other services is really important, and I think we need to utilize these services and we need to protect public libraries because it's surprising that in our capitalist world it's still a thing, and it's really important that we protect it. NHL's Ottawa Senators sell Heated Rivalry jerseys. Proceeds support local LGBTQ+ hockey league. Inspired by fans ordering custom jerseys, the team made it a little easier for them. They immediately sold out twice and are already back in stock. Okay, so if you don't know, the reason why the Ottawa Senators would do this is because the Ottawa Centaurs are a really important team in the book and probably in season 2. I love these jerseys. The black and the red looks so good. I definitely want them myself. And the fact that they're actually going to support a local LGBTQ+ hockey league, I don't know if it's all proceeds. I hope it's all proceeds or at least a good portion of it. I think that's really important because this would be a much different conversation if they were just capitalizing on the success and popularity of Heated Rivalry, and they were raking in all the proceeds, but they weren't using it to like actually tangibly support LGBTQ+ individuals or movements. Getting more proceeds for that, it's a really great cause, and I love to see that for sure. Heated Rivalry series inspires real-life hockey player to come out as gay. There is room for all of us on the ice. In a Facebook post, Jesse Cordum said he spent his career as a closeted athlete struggling to reconcile two identities. I think this is one of the things that I expected would come out of the popularity of Heated Rivalry the most, and I'm really glad to see that that is indeed the case. This goes to show that representation and visibility is still actually really important, and it means a lot to a lot of people. I have been seeing other posts from other athletes, even outside of hockey, who really struggled with the same thing, and they kind of found a lot of hope and bravery from Heated Rivalry too, to come out of the closet and to live as their authentic selves. And I'm so happy for each and every single one of those people. Russians defy country's ban on LGBTQ+ content to watch Heated Rivalry and make it a top-rated show. The show isn't even available on any streaming platforms in Russia, but that's not stopping viewers from watching. I've watched a lot of queer media. I really love it when they do a story that has no homophobia in the world. I think there's a place for that story for sure. But I did feel like the inclusion of homophobia and having, like a Russian character and him having to like deal with that reality of his country's treatment towards LGBTQ+ people and what that would mean for him if he was to come out is really important. I think a lot of people look at this show and they just see like the surface level of, like the spicy scenes, and they dismiss it as like just romance. But I think that there's a lot more to the show when it deals with these realities. And I think that this story is important because we know that Russia is a country that has a government that mistreats LGBTQ plus people, for sure. And it's easy to look at that government and to forget that there are LGBTQ plus people who live there. A lot of them living in secret. A lot of them having to deal with this like danger that they're living in. And seeing this rebellion is a reminder that, you know, we should not equate a country's government to its people. And we need to remember the queer people who live in these oppressive. Shane Hollander's Team Canada fleece from Heated Rivalry is finally being released and will give back to charity. Independent apparel brand Province of Canada announced that 10% of all proceeds for the fleece will support a charitable organization. I love all these like outcomes from Heated Rivalry, and I love how there's like multiple like charities that are being funded because of it. Heated Rivalry actor calls on NHL to follow through and support LGBTQ plus players. The NHL has never had an openly LGBTQ plus player, and Francois Arnaud, who played Scott Hunter, said on the Kelly Clarkson show, "I just hope that the league that is now using the show for tweets and Instagram posts and selling tickets, that it actually follows through and supports open identities for the players." I think this is a really important discussion to be had because we know how toxic sports can be, and the NHL is at the top of that list. Like, hockey is extremely homophobic, extremely misogynistic, even in the year of our Lord 2026. And I think that this reality is shown in Heated Rivalry. It's not a utopia where this homophobia doesn't exist. The characters really need to like grapple with the reality. And I know that, you know, whatever it's actually called, there's like a thing where corporations are suddenly like so supportive and proud when like it's Pride Month, but then they forget about LGBTQ causes and people like as soon as it's not convenient or it won't make them money anymore. And I know that Heated Rivalry is showing that like queer stories and queer love stories can make people a lot of money, and money always talks. Like, whether they feel a certain way about it or not, they'll like always seek to make more money. But the fact that some of the cast are like brave enough to kind of call this out and call for them to put their money where their mouth is, and to stop being so performative around this and calling for like actual real change. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I think it's important to do. It's never going to change if we don't call these things out and lead the charge. So I think it's really brave of Francois to do this, and I'm really glad that he is. I think we really need to push, especially the NHL, more, because yeah, they have definitely a lack of support for LGBTQ plus people. Okay, produced by Elliot Page, lesbian softball show Slow Pitch will release in 2026 on same network as Heated Rivalry. Slow Pitch is a 10-episode mockumentary following the public Las Broveres, a queer underdog slow pitch softball team led by their determined coach. This makes me think of another important discourse I saw about the show. A lot of people were questioning why men loving men seems to be so much easier to like make content about, and like for it to become so popular and loved and pushed to the mainstream. And you know, there's a lot of like discussions about why that is and how we can support woman loving woman stories and female led stories and lesbian stories. And I personally think there's a reason why Heated Rivalry in particular, with the context of like toxic masculinity and the toxicity of the hockey league and all of that, there's a reason why that story works with two queer men, and it doesn't work the same way with two queer women when we already have a league that, you know, like Heated Rivalry is playing out there's wives on the same team, there's exes playing against each other already. It's kind of already a thing. That being said, I think that this is kind of example of how the success of Heated Rivalry can uplift other queer shows, including these like lesbian and female-led shows, because of its success, and how we should have these discussions about why maybe one is more popular than the other. But really, if we don't like fight amongst each other and like work together and lift each other up, this is like an outcome that we can see where we are getting not a hockey show, but we're getting like a lesbian show on the same network. Interest in a recreational hockey league for LGBTQ plus players and allies skyrocketed thanks to Heated Rivalry. Chicago Pride Hockey received around 60 inquiries in the first 2 weeks of the year alone. Anytime that we can expand the game out to be more inclusive and to make people feel more included in the community and scene, I think it's really important. I think this headline kind of makes me connect to the fact that like hockey and sports is still like such a toxic and inclusive area for a lot of people. And I think that, I don't know, we live in a time where it feels like everyone is like the worst. Like we're having so much pushback against LGBTQ plus people, against women, against immigrants. A lot of the times it feels like we're going backwards so much and things are not getting better, but things are getting worse. And I think that headlines like this makes me hopeful. Even though it feels like we're still stuck, there is like hope for the future, even in like sports and even in hockey. Libraries across Canada and US are offering unlimited downloads of Heated Rivalry ebooks and audiobooks. The Toronto Public Library is the latest to make the Heated Rivalry audiobook available without a waiting list, thanks to a licensing option from the publisher. I already talked about like the illiteracy crisis. I already talked about how important it is to support public libraries. I think this is like just a win for fans, because there was like a whole discussion that I saw about how hard it was to like access the books at one point, including ebooks, and how people were like wait lists forever. And just that like people are going to be able to read the books and access them. This is just a win for us fans. And this is a little extra thing that I saw, still from good news. But Heated Rivalry fans raised over $63,000 for Hudson Williams' birthday in celebration of the actor's birthday on February 13th. Happy late birthday, Hudson! Threads user Gianna Christine created a fundraiser benefiting the BC Children's Hospital in Vancouver, British Columbia, which Williams had previously said saved his life when he was a baby. It raised over $32,000 by Williams' birthday, a milestone he celebrated on his Instagram story, writing "Best B-Day present ever." The fundraiser has since surpassed $63,000 in donations. Another charity! More charities! Isn't that like 3 charities that we've seen? That's really beautiful. Alright, so I'm sure that there's gonna be even more wonderful news and outcomes that are gonna be revealed as a result of Heated Rivalry, and I look forward to seeing them. At the end of the day, a TV show is just a show, but I think today we've kind of showed that there's real impact in how people respond to it, with connection, with community, with dialogue, and with joy. Heated Rivalry has sparked some of that, and alongside the online discourse, I think that's worth celebrating. If you've seen something positive come out of Heated Rivalry and the community lately, drop it in the comments. Let's make this space a reminder that good things can arise even in noisy, messy online spaces. If you've liked this video, maybe stick around, subscribe, leave a like. I'm definitely gonna talk about more queer stories in media, just like Heated Rivalry, maybe even Heated Rivalry. I don't know if I'll do another video showing off feel-good stories, but you know, I do whatever I want here on my channel. So if you do want to see anything more like this, I'll keep sharing them. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay weird, and bye!